Hi, this is Susanna Corbett. Thanks for downloading Step Pod and Son.
Hello and welcome to Step Pod and Son, a podcast based at Mews Cottage, 26A, Aldrum Lane, Shepherd's Bush. This is the home of the world's most famous rag and bowmen, or as Harold would say,
Salvage Recovery Operative.
My name's Darren.
And I'm his co-host Si, also known as Two of the Three Comedios podcast that we co-host along with the amazing Tom from One Foot in the Podcast.
We hope you enjoy listening. Please check out the pod on Spotify, Insta, Twitter and all other platforms. Next up, as part of our Christmassy pod, we've got an interview with Dan Lewis and Giorgio Lowe, both from Cattle Productions, the star of the Step to Son live stage tour. We hope you enjoy.
Hey,
hello, Dan.
Fantastic.
You're with us. How are you doing? You okay?
Sorry, I'm late. I had to install everything.
Told you, called it.
But I mean,
Giorgio just said something about AOL.
I'm not tech minded whatsoever.
No, I'm not the best. I tend to end up ringing Si about stuff, but yeah, no.
Yeah, it's finding your way through with stuff. I think since COVID, everything's just gone online, hasn't it? And yeah, if you're just a little bit out of it, sync with it, it can just be very, very frustrating because everyone else is ahead of you sometimes. That's what it feels like, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah.
But hello.
Brilliant. Oh,
How you
brilliant.
doing? You okay,
both
Dan?
on.
I'm good.
Excellent. Good stuff. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it, don't we, Daz? It's
Oh,
some
it's
real...
been brilliant. Like I said, we I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the recent pod we released, but it was the recording that we did at the Sheffield Library Theatre. So that
Yeah,
it
I
was
listened to it. I listened to it.
oh, it was. I think. Do you know what, I was testing those microphones because I bought those clip-on mics to see if they work, and I think they picked up a bit too much background noise, but hopefully most of it comes through all right. So, but no, it was brilliant. So most of our listeners will be aware of you too, because me and Si, we've just spent. We recorded an episode last week. I think we talked about you guys for most of it. So yeah, no, I was just sort of bragging and bigging up the show. But have you done a stage show since we've seen you, or are you still on a break?
No, Sheffield was the last one, and that's it for this year. And we pick it up again in January the 17th. So you saw the last one.
Ah, brilliant. Whereabouts are you then?
We're going to Greenwich, and then the day after we're in Chester, which is about 4.5 hours in between.
Oh God, I was going to say because I think you're down. I'm seeing you again in June for the Newport one, and I was having a look at the tour, and you were all over.
Yeah, mate, we're going everywhere. Like obviously predominantly England, but Wales. Well, mind you, we've got a
Yeah.
lot in Wales.
Yeah, I've
And,
seen that Blackwood and yeah, North Wales.
Scotland and Ireland as well, and Republic of Ireland. So we can't complain. And I think the tour's going to be extended as well. We've got about 5 to 7 other venues interested. So we're trying to get like an autumn 25 kind of segment in as well.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. So, yeah, do you find, because I found that, I was saying to Si, the Library Theatre, it was sort of a perfect little venue with the acoustics, and I think the stage worked well. Do you find some venues better than others, or?
It's hard to say for this show because we've only done the 6, but I think it's quite nice to have an intimate venue because it's the show that you remember in your front room with everybody. And I don't know yet. We have got a couple of really big venues. We've got like a couple of 1,000, 1,300 seat venues, and I don't know yet if it'll take anything away from it. It shouldn't do, but I do think an intimate space, because even though like that library theatre holds 247 people, we had 213 there on the night, and
Yeah, it was busy. Man.
but you couldn't really tell that there was that many people. So I think intimate is better.
Yeah. Do you same way with you, Giorgio? Do you prefer like smaller venues, bigger venues, or?
I agree with Dan on his point with regards to this kind of show. You want something more intimate because it also adds to the kind of cluttered aesthetic for the show and for the kind of atmosphere that we're trying to portray the showcase on. Having a bigger one, yeah, it's better because we can then fit the entire set on the stage, which is more beneficial. But at the same time, there becomes a bit of a negativity when there's more empty space on the stage, and it takes away from the clutterness that we're trying to transpire from the show. But no, I agree. Something like Sheffield was fantastic for space, and I don't think we really lost anything. I think a lot of the time as well, people were kind of huddled and getting a bit closer to see it, just kind of recapping on the wanting to watch it with on TV with their friends and family once again.
Yeah, I think they were trying to push us out the way. We were down the front taking pictures.
Yeah.
I
So
saw you had
speaking
a
of,
copy of
um,
Scrabble
oh,
board, didn't you?
Yeah, we got that. It was brilliant, wasn't that? Yeah, it was some words on there. I was surprised were on there. But no,
So
it's
speaking of staging, so do you have like a sort of set crew that works with you to kind of help put the set up, and a technical crew that does the sound and lighting and everything for you?
Well, I'm going to answer for Giorgio here and say, unfortunately, not.
Okay, all
It
right.
is,
It came across really professional, absolutely. So
but
I try my best.
It's just the three of us, I'm afraid. So
really,
Yeah.
that is an amazing effort then, because
a good show.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
seamless. Like, you could not fault any of it, and we both, Daz and I said, that you didn't drop a line at all. It was like perfect, and yeah, that's even blown my mind even more, the fact it was just the three of you. That's a fantastic effort.
I mean,
Yeah.
we were there since midday, so
Right.
everyone else just
Wow.
for that couple of hours, but we're obviously there. And then obviously we left at nearly 1 o'clock in the morning as well, so it's a long day for us.
Gosh.
So I was saying that to Si, because I said, oh, if we can get 5 or 10 minutes with them afterwards, because I think the venue shuts about 11:30, and we were still there. What time did we leave, Si?
Oh gosh, it was about 11:15, wasn't it? I think, yeah,
Yeah.
11. Finally left Sheffield, so
You should have
yeah.
said we could have given a hand with the props.
Yeah,
That would have
yeah.
been
Oh yeah,
appreciated.
brilliant.
Yeah. Do you own all the props then, or do you sort of hire them, or
Yeah, we own it. That's my front room. That is.
is
We-
that?
They're
Brilliant.
very cozy. It seemed very cozy. Yeah.
Yeah, we own them all. It's taken a long time. It's taken most of the year to like get it all together, but we wanted to do it justice. We've seen a couple of
Mhm.
people who've tried at it beforehand, and there's only really been like maybe a chair and a table, and then they're just having a chat. But we really wanted to recreate the house as much as we could.
Yeah, because I think Georgia mentioned about you were looking at getting 2 floors to do the upstairs downstairs one.
Yeah, there was various ideas we had, but we just thought it's simplest if we can do it linear. I mean, there's a couple of venues that have been really small, like maybe 4 to 5 meters wide, and that's it. And luckily we've had space on the floor. We've had to put the bed on the floor. It's not ideal, but I think if we had any more work to do, like building steps up to another platform, I just don't think we'd have the time.
Mm.
No, not then having to go and act as well and then take it all down again afterwards. That would just be quite a lot, wouldn't it? Yeah. Do you have ambitions to try and get the bear at any point if you can? Look
the
out the bear.
The bear is my bugbear.
Right.
The closest I got was I could actually rent a 7-foot grizzly bear, obviously a stuffed one, and I could get it for £1,000 for the year.
Oh, good God. For the year.
Now, even though, like, if you say, oh, you do 40 shows, so it's 50 quid a show, you've got the bear, got the complete thing.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it's good, but on the other hand, we are also a business, and that's literally like we're spending our wages, just to have a bear.
Yeah.
We got to weigh up a lot of stuff, really.
Financially, that'd be a nightmare. But we often talk about the beer on other episodes, because I'm sure we worked it out, didn't we, Si, that beer was in Rising Damp. It was also
It
made
looks very
appearance-
similar to the one in Rising Damp.
Yeah.
It's not the same one, isn't it?
and in Only Fools is in
the
Della
one in the
Rodney's
garage.
garage. So it's been about, but we think it's the actual beer is in the Museum of Comedy in London at the moment, the actual original beer. Because I think it was one of the I can't remember the name of him, but there's a magician who he took a picture next to it and tweeted about 4 years ago, and he said this is the original beer. But yeah, but that's as a prop, that must be a nightmare.
It's looking after it for people as well. Like if we're renting it, you've got to have proper storage. I don't want to take it back like all battered from being transported around in the van.
And carrying it would be a hell of a task.
But imagine bringing that down Sheffield High Street just to get it in the
Probably should have done this at the start, but I don't know if you sort of want to explain a bit about your individual backgrounds, other sort of theatre work you've done, perhaps a bit about Cattle Productions.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Cattle Productions was I set that up in 2011, and we've been plodding on now ever since. So we've just hit our 13th year, which is good. So things are going well in that respect. I'm a writer, really. So I've done 3 murder mystery novels. That was kind of my first kind of avenue into anything creative. I did pantomimes and that when I was about 5-6 years old, just like local village hall stuff. But then I wanted to write a show. I wrote my own pantomime, but an adult version, and I did. How can I put it so it's clean? It was called Snow White and the 7 Ugly Love Children. If you,
Okay, yeah.
if you get the meaning.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
And I did another one based on Peter Pan, and that's where I met Giorgio for the first time. And I did another one based on Dick Whittington, and obviously Giorgio worked with me on that one as well. And we have such a laugh doing those. Like they are our top tier laughs. I'm sure Giorgio will tell you when you get onto him. And I don't know. I just thought let's do something different, and I just stumbled by chance that you could get like the rights to perform like this kind of material. So I inquired about Steptoe, and I got it, and then I was amazed that we had like about 40 theatres interested. It's incredible, really.
So do you have an agent that will put out to kind of the theatres to ask, are you interested in them performing this, or?
No, that's just me.
Just you. That's again fantastic. Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, it's most things just fall to me, I'm afraid. But
do you try and plot them out across the country in terms of right, we're going to be in Wales here, so we'll try and do a few Wales, then we'll try and do some in Manchester because that's near Wales, or is it just whatever's available?
Well, I absolutely try. I mean, going back to our previous one in January where we're in Greenwich and then Chester, I mean, sometimes it just does not work. The thing is, if this was Andrew Lloyd Webber doing it, the theatres would obviously drop all their other shows and be like, yes, you're coming here. But we have to we're still in the bracket of we need to take what they've got. So I try and do it as best as we can. Like our first week was South Wales, day after Mid Wales, day after North Wales. That's great. The end of January, we're doing the top of Northumberland. We come down to Gateshead, and then we come down to Middlesbrough. So there are some good segments that we've got, but that's just if it falls by luck, really.
Do you say so? Do you write under the novels, Dan? Do you write under your name, or do you write under a pseudonym?
Yeah, I just write under my name.
Okay, I'll have to have a look at those, mate.
Have you had ambitions to write any kind of Steptoe material or comedy or sitcoms or anything like that?
I have written a sitcom, but I've done nothing with it. But the kind of thing when you write, you have to put it away in a drawer for about 18 months and then get out again to see if you actually find it funny or whether you're just caught up in the moment. I mean, I wrote the adult pantos, and I always do about 10 to 15 minutes of stand-up comedy at the start of them to warm the audience up. I'd love to do a stand-up comedy show. I think there'd be nothing better than walking out on your own and making a room full of people laugh. I think that'd be great.
Don't they say that's like the most nerve-wracking thing to do stand-up?
I think it is the scariest bit of comedy. Yeah. It depends. We've got a bit of a following through the adult panto. So if I pick the right venue, and George will probably agree, I'm thinking Aberdeen. I mean, in Aberdeen, they love us. They absolutely love. Honestly, even now, we haven't done a panto there for over a year. And even 2 days ago, someone just emailed me saying, "I'm from Aberdeen. Come back and do a panto." And we get them. We get them all the time. We've had about a dozen people this year going, "When are you touring again? When are you coming back?" So we're doing something right there as well.
Oh, that's brilliant, Aberdeen. Is it just resonate like the certain type of comedy just resonates in Aberdeen, or?
Yeah, well, it must do, because I asked them for Steptoe, and they said politely no. They were like, the people around here don't know our theatre for that. So we'll take your adult panto when you next do one, but Steptoe wouldn't sell.
Ah, bizarre.
But surely it would.
It would.
No, like the whole of Aberdeen aren't sitting there like not watching Steptoe.
No, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure it played in Scotland in the 70s. Yeah, so yeah, it must
definitely.
have
Yeah,
had to be there. So
I have to.
yeah.
Sorry to yourself, Georgia. Did I read this right? I mentioned it, I think, a while ago when we were sort of doing a bit of research about you guys. Is it right you've been in Midsummer Murders?
Yes, not as a I was about to say playable character. Sorry, game head. So not as a main character or as a primary role, but yeah, supporting acting, doing some crew work or some running work as well. So I've done that. I did that from the age of about 15. Did that for about 4 years, 4 summers on the trot. So where I was originally in Slough, my neighbour across the road, he's a full-time actor and performer. We're by Pinewood Studios, who utilize some of their studios for a lot of the TV shows, ITV, BBC, all that kind of stuff. And his agent basically said, I've been in touch for some summer work for, just some stand-in. And they were like, oh, and so if you know anyone else, just so we can like build up our names on the books, that'd be great. This was Andrea Casting. Great company, really good. They started to develop and grow ever further. They got in touch with Bentley Productions, who do Midsummer, and they said, "Oh yeah, I've got this boy. He is 15, but I can act as chauffeur." That's my actor's friend. So he brought me onto set one day. We went into Oxford for what was the episode? It was the one about the bike racing, uh, chained to death or death by chain, something like that. That was the first episode I was in, where I literally at the beginning of the episode, the spanner goes to the camera, going over to the victim. I'm the person holding the spanner as the murder weapon. That was my first bit because the producer
Yeah.
just went in the nicest way possible. We've got the camera so low. We need someone, because again I was 15. They were like, we need someone shorter so we don't have to like bring the camera up. And they looked at me and went, you're short. And I just went, hi, thanks. So yeah, that was cool. Apart from that, yeah, it was any kind of rural-esque environment or atmosphere that we did the shows in. But yeah, did that for about 4 years. That was really fun. Normally about a week or two each summer, but yeah, really good money as well. And yeah, I just enjoyed myself and had fun.
Was that Brian Trume you worked with at Midsummer Murders? Do you remember the guy's name at all? Or?
One of the producers was called Ryan. I didn't get a surname, but
Right, yeah. No, I just know he's quite a famous producer, so I know he was on Midsummer Murders for quite a while. So yeah, interesting.
But no, yeah, it was good fun. Yeah, did that. Obviously, got to the point where I was like, right, going off to university. Went to university, did performing arts and theatre, and then during that, when was Peter Pan? Was that 2019?
Yeah.
2019. So I was in my final year of university. Did Peter Pan? Obviously, I think I answered was it Star Now advert? Yeah, answered the Star Now advert. You probably made some form of comical quip about my name or just something like that going.
Likely, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. It's brilliant, thanks. And a friendship was formed. I use the term loosely. No, it's no good. I went there and yeah, I'd never heard of an adult panto. So as soon as I read the advert, I just thought, why not? It's something completely niche, completely unique. And I made that known to Dan, I think, from the beginning, going, I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this kind of genre, but I really hope it's as funny as it is. And as soon as I read the script when I had to audition, I just went, yeah, this is great. And I will attribute to Dan's quote earlier when we're still in the wings, listening to the lines, and we're laughing at the final show at the end of the tour. That's how fantastic the kind of energy that persists is. Because I think it was when we did Dick Whittington, you and I in the wings, and it was something about Tal's character, one of his lines or something, where we just kept laughing and I'm going, right, this is brilliant. And we're still laughing at this going, we've done this maybe 100 times, but it is fantastic.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Do you know what you say about adult panto? I can remember back when, like every Christmas, back in the days of VHS tapes, I can remember having Cinderella with an S that was a Jim Davidson one back in the 90s. I think he did something similar. But yeah, I haven't really heard of it since. So no, it was a good shout. I think it's good to do it.
Didn't you say, Dan, when we spoke to you in Sheffield, that Jim Davidson has sort of given you a thumbs up for?
Yeah, we had a very, very, very brief email exchange, which ended in when I asked him about the script I'd sent him. He did reply, "Very funny." That they were the only two words I could extract from it, but at least it wasn't very bad. He did say it was very bad, so.
Yeah, he's hard to get a quote from, I think you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, I think I emailed you guys across. I'm really interested to find this out about you guys. So a couple of questions that we wanted to know was your favorite Steptoe moments and also your top 3 comedies of all time. I think I can guess some of Dan's, but I'm interested to see what Giorgio comes up with, especially because when we were at the theatre, he mentioned about before he got the role, he didn't really know a lot about Steptoe. So I'd be interested to see what you guys have come up with.
Yeah, sure.
I
Fire
think
away.
Was it that night, Dan, that when we came back to the house, I said to you, "Can you name as many like British or old comedy sitcoms as possible?" You may have listed about 40, and I probably could have said I've either heard of or watched about 5.
And it disappoints me to this day.
Oh. So
I've since been dropped from Steptoe. No,
Is anyone else disappointed he hasn't done his facial hair correctly for this podcast?
I've left it. I've kept it, and someone the other day, it was a cracker old lady, and again, each to their own. She looked at me and just went, "Oh, very nice Spanish," and I just went, "What?" No, oh God, get me out of here. No, it's cool. But no, I've wanted to keep it just because this is how I look and this is how I feel comfortable. As soon as I shave it, I'm gone. I'm no longer me.
It was didn't he have mutton chops at one point, Harry H. Corbett?
Yeah.
Oh, they're quite, mutton choppy.
I can't grow them, so I just had to keep the side of my beard there to makeshift mutton chops. Because nothing grows here.
Oh, no, I'm a bit like that.
But no, when you put the costume on for the first time, this is a question to both of you really, did you find it was like you kind of really became those characters? Did that really kind of help get into the role more? Or
it certainly did for me. Like when I'm putting on his holy brown cardigan and his red necktie, the kind of bolder costume pieces, and my fingerless mittens and that. Yeah, you really it sounds daft, but it almost helps you perfect the voice as well. It kind of automatically ups the level of performance because you are them. You're no longer someone, in my front room reading his lines. You are now them. You've got no choice but to believe that you're them, because if you don't believe it, the audience aren't going to believe it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. In fact, that's answered the second question, because I was going to say, your vocal, your way of delivering the lines was absolutely spot on. And I was going to say, how long did it take to get there? Was it like quite a long process, or did it fall into place pretty quick? Or
well, I'll let Giorgio answer for himself, but for me, I've obviously known Steptoe a long time, so I've kind of been doing an impression for many years. However, I've only been doing like the odd couple of lines. So it took a bit of honing to get through 4 whole episodes, but it was a lot easier for me over to Giorgio.
I was saying this to say that when Giorgio first come on stage, I thought this is going to be the test, because everyone can more or less do a bit of an impression of Harold. But it's not what you're going for, is it? You want to, like you said, Harold, he has a lot of dialogue and there's a lot of, monologues in some episodes that go on and on. But when he walked out and he did the voice, and Si turned around and we sort of looked at each other and went, yeah, he's got that spot on. That's brilliant. I thought we're going to enjoy this.
It was.
I really think Giorgio has nailed the voice. It's an extremely hard voice to really emulate, not just have a good go. It's really odd, but he has done well. But what I hope that we've done is that we're going to get, especially among the older generations who are coming probably a bit scared of, they don't want this to be rubbish because these are their memories. But that's one reason why we leave the curtains open, because then they can be at home and look at the set when they come in. That's one reason that we do that.
Good move,
but
yeah.
we hope that we then both walk on, and as soon as we've both said one line, we hope people can just relax and go, you know what? I think this is going to be all right.
Well, it
Yeah.
worked for us, definitely. We
Definitely, yeah.
That's
great
Definitely
hours.
work.
Right? So
Yeah, like I said, like with we spoke a bit about this at the theatre, like with Harold's voice, because he's got that sort of impediment that he adds to it, and it varies so much. We thought it's going to be so hard to get it, the pitch and everything right, but yeah, like you said, Dan, he got it spot on.
Thank you very much.
But yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
I interrupted your questions about top three, didn't I?
yeah,
So we go
yeah. I
back
was
to
just going to say top three. Should we go with Giorgio first? So your top three comedies of all time.
So I've got a list here. This is definitely going to sort of make a difference of generation. Some of them are sort of more old timey ones. I think I'm going to go with Keeping Up Appearances as one of my top three, just because
Brilliant.
I was toying with if it's either that or Last the Summer Wine, but I think
Oh,
I always end up quoting Hyacinth, and the whole dynamic that they had, and the whole disparity between the kind of upper middle class and the lower class. It's the same family. It's like, oh, they can't be seen with each other, but they do love each other. Ultimately, there is a sisterly bond between the two of them. And but yeah, no, it is a fantastic show. So I'd say Keeping Up Appearances is up there. My next one is Toast of London. I'm a big Matt Berry fan.
Great.
Absolutely love Matt Berry. I love him in the IT Crowd, his own like individual things as well. What We Do in the Shadows is one of my favorite shows that I'm currently watching. It is brilliant, but I think something that attributes to his theatrical and really professed manner of just him being him. Toast of London is fantastic for it. So I quite like it. My friend and I, we constantly quote each other when we're playing D&D together. We bounce off the voices and we do the characters constantly. So I'd say, yeah, Toast of London is there. And
I really enjoy him in House of Fools. Have you seen that with Vic and Bob?
Yep.
He is sublime in that because he just has a few little cameos here and there, doesn't he? And he does a song, doesn't he? And he's a great singer as well. I'd only discovered this a few years ago, but he's a great singer, isn't he? And he's a musician.
didn't you say you had a record of his or something, Si?
Yeah, he's done a TV theme tunes, and it's one of my go-to albums I put on because it's him playing all the songs and stuff, and it's like all old classic tunes. That IB and Servers on there, old Top of the Pops on there, and yeah, I just can't believe it's him. Like,
I think the fact that you picked Last of Summer Wine is odd, Giorgio. Si is going to burst.
Oh, huge Summer Wine fan, huge fan.
I
All eras of it as well, not just the new stuff, the classic lineup, Foggy, and then obviously Frank Thornton came into it. Yeah, just such a great show.
Yeah, I grew up with it with my granddad, but then we watched that and we watched Keeping Up Appearances, and then I feel like I just watched Keeping Up Appearances a lot more because I felt like as much as the old men in Last Summer Wine were fantastic, Cleggy and all that kind of the little skits and comedic elements they had, that was great. Hyacinth for me is probably just brilliant as a character, and the fact that she's still alive and still promotes it as a show currently, going, I don't care who you are, go and watch it. She was doing a radio interview recently, and saying, it was one of the greatest things I ever made, and I'm so happy that I can live long enough to tell generation after generation that to go and watch it, to experience it for yourself, to experience that old world of comedy and bring it into the new world, which is kind of reflective of what we're doing with Steptoe. We're trying to bring it to the newer audiences. But yeah, I'd say my sort of last third one would probably be I'm tied between Red Dwarf and Vicar of Dibley.
Two good choices, brilliant.
I'm a massive dwarfer. Like
Boys from the Dwarf.
Yeah, I don't think Red Dwarf can do any wrong.
Brilliant.
So for me, it's Red Dwarf. However, Vicar of Dibley is fantastic. It's not like I don't like that, but I would pick Red Dwarf.
So I think I'd have to go Red Dwarf because I think the best episode, in my opinion, is the one where there just starts to be what's the character's name? He starts to lose his mind, and they put him behind a glass shield cabinet, and they start asking him questions. He's like, "Am I wearing a dress? I've not lost my mind. I'm only wearing a dress. Do you think I've lost my mind? Am I wearing a dress? No.
Got the puppet.
Well, yeah. This is
Yeah.
brilliant. It is fantastic, and yeah, I think Red Dwarf is I put Red Dwarf in the top 3 for me. So yeah.
That's a good shot. I met Rob Llewellyn once at a Comic Con in Cardiff. And a friend of mine bought a book off him, and we were sort of listening to him and Danny John Jules, who plays Cat, and they were sort of chatting away as if we weren't there, and they were reminiscing about when, you know, Kachansky. I think when they were filming, Kachansky was up on like a high scissored lift, and they were reminiscing about when they were looking at her ass. So, so we were like, I was thinking, they've forgotten we still stood here. But Rob Llewellyn, so he's a top bloke. He's like, as you think he is. That's how he is. He's so genuine.
One of my favourite lines from Red Dwarf is Lister brings in this like magnificent cake, and he says like, I failed cookery class again, and so I don't know who it was. Someone went, well, that looks all right. Oh, it was meant to be roast beef.
Boys from the
I think
Dwarf.
my favourite's the one where they think everything is the suicide squid has like poisoned them, and they think everything's a video game, like they're playing a video game, and obviously it's not. They're all just in stasis or whatever, aren't they? But it's got Timothy Spall in it, and
yeah, I see that. It's brilliant. That, and he's like the but like the games master thing, isn't he?
Yeah. Did you
Sort
get Kakanskoy?
Yeah. He's another brilliant actor, isn't he, Timothy Spall? In everything.
For years, I thought he was a brummie for years until
No, he's not a Baroy.
I just always thought that's what he was. Did it so well?
He'll always be Barry, though, won't he?
He's Baroy, isn't he?
Yeah,
Tatiana.
Tatiana.
Tatiana. God. Yeah, we've been rewatching those. They're brilliant. They were with Jimmy Nail and.
You want to come back to our hut?
Yeah, he's brilliant. What was he in that? Was he the electrician? Because they all seem to have a role, and he sort of never did a lot, did Barry? Did he? Because he couldn't like lay bricks or anything, or I think he was a Sparky, wasn't he?
He was. I think he was. Moxie was the plasterer. Wayne
Bomber.
was the chippy.
Yeah, Bomber was the like the labourer and anything really, wasn't
Yeah, and Jimmy Nail, Tim Healy, and Kevin Whately, they were all just the builders. He must have been the electrician.
he? Yeah, I'm sure because he made it big then, didn't he? When he was the businessman in the later ones.
Yeah, he was the most successful, wasn't
Yeah, Baroy. But yeah, no, 3. What do you think of those choices, Si?
Yeah, 3 great choices.
Brilliant.
Yeah. No, all. As you can see, I probably can't see my DVD wall behind me, but yeah, I think every one of those is on there somewhere. So, yeah, great choices.
Go for it, Dan. I think I know some of yours.
Well, I'm going to give you 4. That's all right. The only reason I'm going to stick a 4th one is because when I finished this series, I had to watch it again immediately. So I think it's got to be
a sign of a good series, isn't it? If you watch it again straight away.
Well, I already missed it. I didn't want it to end. So in 4th place, I'm going with Heidi High.
Oh,
great choice.
I think Paul Shane was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And of course, he was also in Urang My Lord and Oh Dr. Beachley.
Yeah.
He was
Dr. Beachin. That's a hidden gem. Absolutely hidden gem.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they all stay together because obviously Jeffrey Holland and Sue Pollard in that as well.
That's it. It's yeah. No, you're right. Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's my 4th choice, Heidi High. My 3rd choice is It Ain't Half Hot Mum.
Oh, amazing! I just rewatched that.
Have you? It's great, isn't it?
Well, I bought it on DVD because it was again streaming. It was something like if you could find it, it was quite expensive, but I bought it on like the box set for about £9. So yeah, but again, I'm sure I've ranted about this before on a previous pod. They just don't show it on TV.
It's banned. No, it's banned because of Michael Bates.
Yeah, because he's doing brownface.
Yeah,
and they can't cut that out because obviously he's one of the main characters. But I like the
I still love it with obviously
Windsor Davis. Lovely boy, lovely shoulders, show 'em off.
Shoulders, show 'em off.
Davis. It's brilliant. Giorgio's looking at me strange now.
As long as you're happy, I'm happy. That's all good.
No, he was brilliant with Windsor Davis. He was in another like a cult Welsh film as well. It was called Grand Slam, and I think he's just pissed throughout the whole thing. They follow the Welsh rugby team over to France, and I think they lose in the final. But it's just cameras following him. Really, it's bonkers. But him
Do you
and
know, in real life, he was a really quiet, kind of secluded guy.
was he?
Yeah, he was a really, and not a recluse. I don't mean recluse, but he was a really reserved person,
Wow.
really soft and gentle in real life, and yet in that show, complete opposite.
We're all like that from Wales, Dan. We're all shy and retiring.
You're
Yeah,
going to say he's your great granddad now.
Okay. Him and Don Estelle.
Oh, tell you what, whenever he wanted a volunteer and someone
Lofty.
volunteered, I will select the volunteer.
Yeah. But it's just like when they go across with all stood to attention, in line, and then you see like it drops down, and because Don Estelle was about 3'2", wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's just physically, they just even with the tall helmet on, he looks tiny.
Yeah. The other two things I liked from Windsor Davis was when Gunnar Graham spoke, like,
Da-di-da.
yeah, Mr. University educated.
Yeah, he's got a university education. But yeah, he hated him, didn't he? He just couldn't. He just had that chip on his shoulder.
He did, yeah. And the other characters, which again I've already mentioned, your my lord, but Michael Knowles and Donald Hewlett, the two kind of poncy people in charge. That especially, I mean, Michael Knowles was hilarious, but the guy who played the main guy played by Donald Hewlett, he always used to say, "I won't forget this. Gonna." And he never knew their names.
Was he in Dad's Army as well? That guy. I'm not sure if it's the same actor. I think he was in a couple of Dad's Army episodes.
If he wasn't in the main platoon.
No.
But I can't recall him. But of course he could be. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a
Because
good
Michael
choice.
Knowles rocks up in 8 Half Hot One, doesn't he? Is he Teddy in 8 Half Hot One? Not Half Hot One, sorry. You rang my lord. He's in that, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's,
Well, yes. Well, so's they both are.
all right. Yeah.
Yeah, they both are. So like in Einar Fotman, I don't know the character name, but Donald Hewlett was the head of the platoon, and
Right.
in Your My Lord, he was head of the house.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Michael Knowles was like second in command in
That's
Einar
it.
Fotman, and he
Yeah.
was like the idiot nephew in the house.
That was
So-
it. He was forever getting women pregnant or sort of causing a scandal, wasn't he? And whatever.
Because he couldn't resist carbolic soap.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. That was the check. But I mean, that's all Jimmy Perry, David Croft, isn't it? Like
All of it, yeah.
the shows they turned out like over sort of 20, 30 years was just phenomenal. Like,
Incredible.
I can't think of as good writing partnership. Obviously, Golden and Simpson aside, for longevity was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Shall I give you number 2 then?
Yep.
All right, so second place, I've got Hello.
Oh,
Have
cracker! Absolute cracker.
you seen that, Giorgio?
Heard of it, never watched it.
I was gonna say, because it was like vintage, but modern, wasn't it? It was strange. It's obviously set during the Second World War, but what was it, early 90s?
Yeah,
It started 82 and finished 92, didn't it? So
Hmm.
it
82.
ran for
I
15
didn't think it
years.
was that old.
God.
I think the pilot was 82, and then it went to series 84. But yeah, it's just catchphrase after catchphrase, isn't it? And
Good morning.
but I love the serial element of that one. That was a great idea, wasn't it? To do it as a serial, bit different.
Yeah, the thing is, the characters were perfect. Like Gordon Kay was so well cast as someone that everybody fancied, but in reality, no one would fancy.
Bless him. No, he had all of the waitresses, didn't he? He was married, had about
Yeah.
3 waitresses after him. And
You stupid woman!
Yeah, that's it.
can you not see?
What do you think I'm doing with my tongue down this waitress's throat? Can't you see? It's suffocating.
And the Germans in it are brilliant, and the Gestapo.
I used to like Sam Kelly's character, and then I was gutted when he went.
Yeah, not Gruber. Hans Goering. Is it Goering? No, what's his name? He's called Hans, isn't he? He's Hans something or other. Anyway.
Yeah,
But
it was Hans.
he's
Yeah,
half Hitler salute. Plop.
that's it.
Oh, it's from Porridge, wasn't he? Bunny and Porridge.
Yeah, that
was
was
in
it.
Porridge, yeah.
Bunny
Porridge,
Warren
yeah.
in Porridge, wasn't he?
Bunny Warren, yeah.
Yeah,
And he
But
was
what was the?
yeah.
Ted in Barbara.
Great little sitcom Barbara, isn't
Oh,
it?
probably
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I was just
Yeah.
thinking in Alolo, the guy that plays the Gestapo with the glasses. I can't think of his name, but he
That's
plays it dead straight, doesn't he?
Richard Gibson, that is, yeah.
Richard
He
Gibson.
plays it as if it's like a drama.
Yeah, well, yeah, but of course, his side piece in that Helga was like
Yeah.
completely comical. It was just
Yeah.
it worked so well. It worked so
Yeah,
well.
it does. I
Von
think.
Smallhausen as well.
Ron Schmallhausen.
The smaller miniature version of him. Which they brought in. It just got better and better, didn't it? It's one of them shows like
Yeah.
they start out and they just thought, well, we can put a joke in here. We'll have a miniature version of him here, and then the Fall of Madonna is just forever being lost. And yeah,
The whole series was about a painting trapped in a sausage. How did that work?
The full of
I
Madonna with the
don't
big
know, but
boobies.
it worked, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to get the British Airmen home as well. Like
Oh,
the thing
the-
is, it sent up everyone, didn't it? Everyone, no one was
Mm.
escaped from. The British were sent up, the Italians,
Yeah.
the Germans, the
Yeah,
French. Like
yeah.
everyone got it. So it was, it wasn't xenophobic. It was everyone sort of got a turn, didn't they, of having the Mickey taken out of them. So
But the Germans still won't buy it for their TV
Really?
stations.
Will they?
No, a few years ago, I can't remember how long, but the most recent update I've got is a few years ago. The two officials from German TV came over to the BBC and they watched an episode or two in like a secluded box, and apparently they both came out crying with laughter, saying, "We can't buy this."
Ah.
Apparently, Germany would be in uproar.
But, I don't know. I did see something like that a few years ago. They showed like German people Faulty Towers, and they were okay with it. They said it's fine. We can laugh at it now.
But as
Some
long as
things. But
you appreciate the era that it was made, it shouldn't be an
that's
issue.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
I think you said this at the when we was in Sheffield as well about I suppose there's not many modern comedies now that are genuinely funny and appeal to most of Britain. I think even David Jason said in his recent book, he said we've kind of lost what British people find funny. And
well, we have.
yeah, and I mean they say, oh, this wouldn't get made now, but most of the ones we've picked, they wouldn't, would they?
They wouldn't, but have we lost what's funny, or are we being told what to find funny?
Yeah, I think I
Good
fully agree with
question.
you on that, Dan.
Yeah, I agree. Coming from the younger generation, I think for me the only two kind of shows that I picked from my kind of list were Toast of London, just because of Matt Berry's more theatrical performance, and Fleabag.
Yeah.
I like Fleabag. I think it's got some fantastic wits towards it, but the reason I didn't pick it is because I'm probably about maybe 60% of a liker for all of the episodes. There are some of them that I go, this is more social commentary rather than comedic, which is why I kind of falter with a lot of the current shows being made that are comedy. They aren't funny. They're just people making very, very basic social commentary points and stuff like that. Whereas watching something that's slightly older, there's a little bit more thought with the comedic timing and the slapstick and the humor and the jokes written. There's a little bit more intellectual capacity there, rather than just relying on the surrounding environment just to make some form of quick-witted remark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think sort of streaming services or having it, it's gone really niche, isn't it? Comedy, it's sort of like when they had like BBC Three and BBC Four. I don't think it sort of helped because obviously back in say Steptoe's day, there was 3 channels and they'd get 22 million people watching Steptoe. I mean, the closest thing we've had in sort of recent years was Only Fools and Horses. What was that side? Late 90s. I think they had 20 something million.
Yeah, but again, that was probably
But-
Sky was in its infancy still, so perhaps not
Yeah.
as many people had access to as many channels, so more people sat around and watched what was on. I guess that was it, wasn't it? And yeah, no, I take Dan's point. I think people are kind of a sort of being told what's funny, what's not funny, what you can include. I've heard stories about script executives not commissioning scripts unless it's been written by certain, it fits certain parameters, and you're like, well, originality is just going to go out the window, isn't it? If you've got to fit a checklist of things to be approved to make something. Whereas the creativity, it's just sort of painted by numbers, isn't it? Really. So yeah.
Was that your second choice, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I've got one more.
Go on in.
I've got one more. So for choice number one, I'm going across the pond, and my favourite comedy of all time is the Phil Silvers Show.
You mentioned that, didn't you, in Sheffield? Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
With Bilko.
Sergeant Bilko, 143 episodes.
I'll be honest, hold my hands up. I don't think I've seen one, which is shameful. I should, but I haven't.
You need to. You can buy the box set of it all. It shouldn't be that pricey now.
Okay.
But honestly, from
episode
1, you'll see why it's funny, and by the time you watch one, you'll have watched 6, and you'll be hooked.
Right.
I was going to say, because I've seen bits of it. I remember as a kid, my dad was a fan, and he used to say about how quick-witted he was, and like he was almost like ad-libbing it. I don't know if that's true.
I don't think he was ad-libbing it, but I think he was so skilled at what he did because he was he was a cheeky chappy, quick thinking, good with the ladies, manipulator, always trying to make a quick buck, always fooling everybody, goofing off at work. He just seemed to do it so naturally. And there's several points as well. In a lot of the episodes, there was a guy called, ashamedly, I can't remember his name, apart from it was Paul, but the character was called Colonel Hall, who was the bumbling colonel overseeing Sergeant Bilko's platoon. And there's many, many times that Sergeant Bilko would be saying, "Oh, you remember, Colonel, when we did," and that was genuinely because the actor forgot the lines. There's so many times that he was notorious for not knowing his lines. But they only had, I think they filmed about 4 episodes a day, or possibly even more. But they only had something like 40 minutes to film each 25-minute episode. So there was only a 15-minute error for mistakes or moving around. So they had to be quick.
That's some pressure. Do you think did Steve Martin do it justice then? There was a film in the 90s, wasn't there?
I haven't watched it.
I was going to say, I remember seeing that as a kid. Well, I was probably a teenager then, but yeah, I remember thinking, like, you could see the quick-wittedness, the manipulation. Whenever the colonel turns up and drives into near the platoon, the radio, they play a certain song on the radio, so because they're all goofing off doing nothing, and then when that song comes on, all of a sudden they're busy working. So it's like, yeah, but like I said, I haven't watched much of the original, so I don't know how that compares to Steve Martin.
Honestly, you both need to watch it because
it's on my list now, definitely.
Is it Follow That Camel he's in? Carry On, Follow That Camel?
Correct. He's in Carry On, Follow That Camel, and he basically plays the same character, but
he's brilliant in that, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's good.
I see he carries every scene, doesn't he? He's just, I don't know how you can act up against someone like him because he's full on, isn't he?
He is. He's
in a good way.
Phenomenal with it. He's so talented, but of course Nat Hiken wrote it. He wrote them all, and what a talented writer as well. Which, I mean, I was going to say when we get to when we finished our tour, we could always come back on the podcast again and just let you know how it goes.
That'd be amazing. Yeah,
please, that'd be great. Yeah.
On the condition that your guys' homework is to watch some Bilko, so we can chat about it as well.
That's it. That sounds good.
I'm making a note of that, so I've got to check out your books, Dan. I've got to watch Phil Silvers. I've got a list of stuff.
Keep you busy.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you haven't seen that, you need to watch it, because obviously I am a massive lover of classic British comedy. So for me to pick an American comedy as my number one, it must be something special.
I know.
I thought you were going to go Seinfeld or something like that, or Frasier.
Or Frasier.
American.
Frasier's good.
Yeah, I'm a massive Frasier fan. Yeah. You watching the new
one? Cheers. I prefer Cheers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Cheers is
not
good.
Seen it. I probably should, but yeah.
Well, it's how Frasier started. So he was in.
He was a character.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Is Ted Danson in?
Correct.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you decide to watch Cheers, series 1 actually isn't very good, and it was nearly axed. But once you get past series 1,
Right.
series 2 to I think there's either 9 or there's 11, but
Wow.
then you're gutted when it's over because they're literally they're all your friends by the end of it.
Okay. I've seen a thing a while ago about Cheers about the ages of them all, and they're not as old as you think they are. Trust me, I'm older than most of them now. It's quite
Gosh.
surprising. But Georgia, have you
Yeah.
seen the new series of Frasier?
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I know.
I I go back to the point you made where before it was made, there was probably a checklist,
Right.
and the
Yeah, yeah,
checklist
yeah,
of, you know, I'm going to call it forced inclusivity, is that if you're doing inclusion for inclusion's sake, I get it, but at the same time, if there's no structure or strength to the story, to the body of the characters, for the characters being who they are, the reason Frasier was so funny is because he didn't care. He was quick-witted. He was very stonewall, stone-faced, sarcastic. He kind of dominated the space in that kind of regard, and it feels like he's a bit of a pushover in this new series. As whatever's said to him, it's like, you know, and anyone can kind of get away with murder, as it were, in terms of it. And I just go, it's not, you know, it doesn't capture the same kind of resonance and passion of his character as it did in the previous, which is quite upsetting
Nah.
because I love Kelsey Grammer. I think he's fantastic, but I think it's not as strong as the original series.
No, it was never going to be, was it? I mean, it lost a lot, obviously, with Marty Crane. He's not in it, obviously, passed away.
Yeah.
So it lost a lot with that, I think. And I'm still not too sure about Freddie. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it works that well, to be honest, because they've just reversed the roles,
Nick
really, haven't they?
Lyndhurst's character?
Sorry.
Is that Nick Lyndhurst's character?
No, he plays a professor. He's actually really
okay.
good. Do you know what?
Right.
Some of the recent episodes he's in, like he was a sort of bit character. He's in most of the episodes now. It sort of
Okay.
revolves around him, but
Yeah.
because Kelsey Grammer gets on really well with Nicholas Lyndhurst.
Yeah.
But I
So
think
the
you're
only
right.
reason I watched the original was because I started watching the remake, the new one with Nick Lyndhurst. I thought I better go and watch the originals, and I've really enjoyed the originals. Like you say, Giorgio, there's just something about it that I think the other one just doesn't have. Yeah.
And with I've forgotten his name, but Niles, he's a brilliant character. I don't think it works without him.
I agree.
But what is his name? Oh, it's gone now. But yeah, no, he's yeah, he does it. Like you said, I think they've done a good job, but yeah, I think you're probably right. It doesn't work that well. I mean, the most modern sitcom that I sort of watched, I'd say, is Brassic. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. What's that, 2019?
Yeah. Well, it's just, I think it's releasing, or it's just released its fifth series, Brassic 5. It's carried quite a way, and I thought it was very reminiscent of what's it called? Shameless. It had
Yeah,
a lot of
Shameless,
Shameless vibes about it, which I quite like. Shameless. I like both the UK and the American version. They were fantastic. But yeah, Brassic has got a lot of Shameless vibes about it, and I didn't mind it, but I think it was very much a case of, I think after one or two series, you go, okay, it's a bit, it's more, again, a bit of banter, but again, it just became a case of, I think this is just a bit overplayed now. We know you keep like trying your best luck, and it's just nothing's going to ever happen. You're stuck in the rut, sort of thing, with the characters. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that I watched up to series 4, and it's almost like it gives me a headache watching it. There's so much going on, and like the guy that wrote it, he was in like This Is England and all that one. Talented guy, and you could tell it's a brilliant portrayal of somebody with bipolar. But you just think he's put too much into an episode. It's like I have to take a headache tablet after watching 3 episodes because it's bonkers. It's like, but I get, like, with that, like you were saying, a lot of shows, it feels like they're ticking a box. I don't get it so much with that. I don't think they're sort of worried about offending people. In Brassic, it seems like it's the storyline, whereas a lot of comedy now, it seems to sort of trying to avoid any offense to anyone.
Mrs. Brown's boys aside.
Oh God.
I
know.
think quite very much. I think Mrs. Brown's Boys is very much coin toss. It's some of
Yeah.
it's great, but
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of it's just utter fodder. And I
Mhm.
just go,
Yeah.
there's no point. There's no point.
I struggle with it, like you say, yeah, in that sense. It's a studio sitcom, which there's not many of those, and you know you got to appreciate that side of it. But yeah, it just doesn't work for me as well as it should do.
He's been doing that character though since 1991.
Yes.
He did it on
It-
the radio, didn't he?
It was a radio, yeah, it was a radio show for was it 5 or 6 years, and then it was a pilot
Yeah.
on TV. It was picked up, then it was dropped, then it was picked up again or something, and now it's a recurring Christmas special for the BBC.
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean, you got to respect that success because he's done really well.
Yeah.
But it's just
Yeah.
I can't fathom it out. I just don't understand why other shows get cancelled and that every single
Yeah,
year.
that keeps.
But no, because we often talk about is a show by Steve Spears that he wrote and starred in it. It's called The Tuckers, and it's on iPlayer. There's 3 series,
Yeah.
but that was cancelled on the 3rd series. But
Great-
that is
great
that is
series, isn't
brilliant.
it? Yeah, you know, original sitcom, funny storylines, family unit that don't get on and get through scrapes and what have you. But yeah, they just didn't want to do any more, did they? Which is a shame.
Like I said, Steve Spears, he's been in. He was with Ricky
He was
Gervais. Was he in
Stella.
Extras?
Was he the guy in Stella?
He was in Stella, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Right,
was with
right.
Ruth Jones. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. He's got one of those faces. You once you see him, you go, oh, I've seen him in this. I think he's in a Star Wars somewhere.
Yeah, he's in
Star
everything.
Wars, isn't he?
It's
Yeah.
surprising. Yeah, he's in this.
Sort of the
But
back of a scene or something.
He's a nice guy as well. He'll interact with you on Twitter as well, or any sort of social
Yeah.
media. He's quite good with the fans.
I've actually got an autograph of him on my wall because I'm such a fan of him. My wife wrote to him and didn't think she'd get anything back, and about 2 weeks later, she finally got a thing back from him and just signed it and sent it on to me. So yeah, what a lovely chap. Yeah.
There's another another sitcom or show that I quite like. Well, I like. I think the first couple of series were fantastic of it, but I think it's kind of fizzled out now. Benidorm.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
I was going to
Oh,
say
yes.
that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got some really good lines about it. I mean, the one line
it
I
has.
absolutely love is when they're in the dinner hall. It's like, how's your chicken love bit dry? I should have gone for the beef curtains. And
Beef curtains. Oh, God. Beef
Um,
curtains.
But my mum showed me the series at the beginning because we were watching it, and it was the gay character who's played by Tony Maudsley.
Mhm.
He's fantastic. But my mum went
Is
to school
that
with him.
Kenneth?
Yeah,
Kenneth DeBeck. Yeah.
Yeah, my
His
mum went.
t-shirts.
Oh, the vest, the bright neon yellow vest.
And those bum bags.
Oh god. Right, love, you going to karaoke all next week? Oh, and when they're one of the old ladies like, when I go and visit the husband, he wants things. He wants like bits from the house. At one point, it was a pen, and then it was a rolled up magazine. And it's like, right, well, don't sit on that stool too hard, otherwise it'll disappear. Come on, love, let's go.
Oh, God. What
Yeah,
did Donna say?
I first knew Tony Maudsley from a sitcom that not many people know of called Eyes Down, and it was set in a
Okay.
bingo hall with Paul O'Grady.
Oh,
God.
that rings a bell. That rings a bell. Yeah, I've not seen it. That rings a bell. That does. Yeah.
Eyes
Oh, wow.
down.
That's brilliant.
He's in Coronation Street now, hasn't he? He's done quite well for himself. He's an Undertaker.
The Undertaker.
Yeah. I hope he's still quite comedic. I can imagine he is. And I imagine he's. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, he's got that kind of face and posture,
Yeah.
hasn't he? That
Yeah.
he probably can't shake
No.
No.
entirely.
I was going to say, but
True.
because he
True.
nails Kenneth, I couldn't imagine him in anything else. Like him and Liam, it's just a
Yeah.
great double out, those two.
What blows my mind is he originally auditioned for Mick for Steve Pemberton's role.
Mick Gravy.
He didn't get it, but he was going to play Mick originally, which is like bizarre, isn't it? You can't imagine him not being Kenneth, but yeah.
One of the modern sitcoms I like, which is probably quite old now, but I like Black Books.
I love
Yeah.
that.
It's brilliant.
Great show. Yeah.
It's when he
Brilliant.
comes back, when he goes back to the couple's house with a pineapple and goes, "Do you mind telling me what happened last night?" It's like, you don't remember, and the son's just there, gormless and absolutely stunned.
And they're making that wine that kills the Pope. And
Yeah.
It is good
Oh.
fun.
Because what you got there is sort of two stand-up comedians, haven't you? Dylan Moran and Bill Bailey.
Yeah.
They're in the hand to comedy, a sitcom really well. Yeah.
Again, like we always say, that one of the, I think the main thing with Steptoe is that obviously Harry H. Corbett, he was a straight actor, playing, a comedy role. So that's how they made it. They didn't just give it to, like a comedian or, similar to Hancock or something. They actually got straight actors to play the role.
Do you think
Yeah.
that is what is missing from modern comedy today? They always automatically give it to a name that everybody knows. Where if they actually gave it to someone prominent in a different field, you might get a better result.
They won't risk things, will they? If they took a risk, I think it would work. But
I mean, let's say, for example, they gave Ralph Fiennes a sitcom role. He would nail it. He'd absolutely nail it, wouldn't he? And he'd bring that gravitas to it. But you're right. It's always going to go to a Lee Mack or someone like that, isn't it? Because they're a name and
It's
no,
just
nothing against
about,
Lee Mack, but yeah,
it's just about selling money. They're selling making money.
yeah. No,
have you?
that's-
What's that one with Ian McKellen though? Is it Vicious? I've never seen it.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's good.
that's not
It's
bad.
good.
Does that work?
Yeah, that holds up well, doesn't it? Yeah,
He's
Him and-
he's obviously a straight actor playing a comedy role.
yeah. It's him and
well,
Derek Jacobi, isn't
straight
it? Again?
actor, if we use the word loosely, as it were.
Oh yes. So yeah, not very straight.
Straight
Lesson.
laced. No, it
Oh.
is good. I quite like Vicious.
As Francis Delator, Miss Jones just adds some
Oh.
gravitas to it as well, doesn't she? So she was in a show called Big School written by David Williams, and that's a fairly recent comedy that just works really well. But again, it's just got some great actors in it, and I think that makes a difference. Philip Glenister from not Life on Mars, Ashes to Ashes, he's in it.
Yeah.
Not always known for his comedy, but he just plays a sort of slightly mad PE teacher. There are a few exceptions to the rule, but I do think general sitcoms are nowhere near, the output of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We were spoiled, really. I mean, I say we were spoiled. I was born in 87, so I was too young for most of it, but yeah, there's not as much constant comedy coming through as there should be. Yeah.
But
No,
as you're the age, because you're a similar age to me, I was born in '88. Aren't you appreciative that you're aware of these older classic comedies?
Oh gosh,
Because I actually feel sorry for the new generation that just will not watch them because they're old.
No.
That's why I educated my kids. My boy, I took him to a Only Fools and Horses convention years ago, and in Bristol, and he was the only kid there. But they loved it. They had him as head of the Groovy Gang. He was part of the auction. He was loving it. He was doing Boise impressions.
Nice.
He was loving it. Yeah, you've got to show him because no one else, my
absolutely.
boy now, he's 15, but no one else his age has heard of Only Fools or Steptoe.
It's
It's
sad.
so sad.
It's honestly
Really
sad.
sad. Really sad. But that's what you should spend my paper around. I used to paper around and spend my money on One Foot in the Grave, Bottom, Keeping Appearances, just videos, just buying as many
Young
videos
ones.
as I could and just consuming it. And then when we got UK Gold, that was like, like a absolute godsend for me, because I was like access to so many great shows that I just couldn't wait to take in. So yeah.
We had a chat the other night, and I thought Giorgio was going to go. One of my guesses was Peep Show.
I had it on the list. I had that on the list.
Ah,
I really like David Mitchell. I think
yeah.
Right.
I think he's fantastic. Like, I was going to say things like Extras, Ricky Gervais. I quite like The Office and Extras, and even like
Yeah.
Idiot Abroad and Cole Pilkington, that kind of thing. But I really love how David Mitchell doesn't care. He's very blunt. There's parts. The part where it always makes me laugh. The part where he comes in with the flannels is like, which one have
Oh,
you
no.
jazzed over?
Oh
Answer.
God.
And I just go, oh god.
Oh,
It's just things like that. It's brilliant. His recent show, is it Ludwig, where he's playing a TV detective? I quite like. It's nice. It's all right. But I prefer him where he plays himself.
yeah.
In Peep Show, which
that's
is
it,
just
isn't it?
fantastic.
Oh, it was good. Him and Jazz, brilliant.
Mitchell and Webb, just
That was
a
great.
great double act, aren't they? Yeah, brilliant.
They
Yeah.
do, like we said about sketch shows as well, haven't we? There's no sketch shows now.
No,
I don't know what happened to that. Like we used to have the Fast Show and Big Train and all, and I don't know where they went.
even Green Wing, that was sort of a sketch show, wasn't it? But we watched that for the first time recently and howling with laughter. Just so funny. Yeah.
See, my guess for Dan, I thought Dan was going to go Rising Damp.
Yeah, it's a very good one. I mean, Leonard Rossiter is amazing.
Oh
Miss Jones.
gosh.
Miss Jones.
You actually contacted Len Rossiter's biographer, didn't you, Daz, to see if he'd come and chat to us about Len?
Yeah.
Because like, obviously Len's two very important roles in Steptoe. Obviously, one more.
Yeah,
important.
because obviously he was in Desperate Hours, the Steptoe episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we could get him on, it'd be great. But again, that episode, have you seen that one, Giorgio, the Desperate Hours?
Haven't, no.
I mean, even if just the acting in that, I mean, even if you didn't like Steptoe, I mean, it's just you see Leonard Roster and Harry Corbett go up against each other, and they're up in their game. You can tell they're both the one's thinking, he's putting in a performance here. I better, up my game. We had Sue Corbett on the pod, and she mentioned that one, that really sort of stood out to her, all these years later. But yeah, definitely, if you can, Georgia, watch that.
Yeah. Well, so it's
What
interesting
amazes
you
me
mentioned
is
that,
that Series 7, I don't know if you think the same, Dan, but the quality of Series 7 of Steptoe, there's not one bad episode. We say there isn't a bad episode of Steptoe, there's just some that's better than others. When we were doing this pod, when we started this pod, we said we picked 2 episodes, and we knew Series 7 would be the hardest because you've just got classic after classic after classic, haven't you?
Yeah.
But for 7 series in, to be still producing that quality is rare, isn't it? You were saying, Giorgio, Benidorm went downhill. Well, Steptoe didn't.
No.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny you mentioned sketch shows, and obviously earlier you mentioned David Walliams. I've been sort of on a bit of a bender with rewatching things like Little Britain and Come Fly With Me. I love those. I mean, I grew up with that a lot of the time. My mum would play that before Holby or Casualty popped on the TV. It was always a bit of Little Britain, and I just loved how they, again, as writers and creators, they didn't care. They just wrote things that made them laugh. I love the part where he goes out. It's the convenience store, and every time it's a different kind of theme. It's like a bookstore or a painting store or something else.
Yeah.
And it's Margaret. It's brilliant.
Margaret, is
Can
it?
you come down and help? I've got no arms and legs. Right.
Is that the guy who goes, I like a painting of a disgruntled horse?
Yes. It's like,
This horse looks more perturbed than disgruntled. That one, he's just bizarre, isn't he? Just
brilliant.
yeah.
They're not for me, them shows, I think.
I agree, Dan. I watched them when they first come out, and have they aged well? Do you think, say, Little Britain?
Well, it hasn't, because there's parts of that they think should be cancelled.
Well,
yes.
a lot of TV networks refuse to play it as well, especially
Bubbles character.
Bubbles. Yes, thank you. And
Good
obviously,
God.
Come Fly With Me. They've got the Jamaican coffee lady who Matt Smith dresses up as.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think it should be cancelled. I just don't think it should have ever seen the light of day.
I do agree with you, Dan.
I think it was just a big cultural thing. Everyone watched that, like you say, Giorgio. It was just huge, wasn't it? Everyone watched it. They were on Comic Relief. They were sort of like in the early noughties. They were sort of the go-to comedy guys.
They did live shows. Their live shows were fantastic as well. I think I've still got the DVD from their first Comedy Relief live show.
Yeah.
Do you speaking of live shows, what about can you remember League of Gentlemen?
League of Gentlemen. Love League of Gentlemen.
With
I remember it, yeah.
Mark Gatiss, Reece Shearsmith, who's the other two, Si?
It's obviously Steve Pemberton and
Steve
Jeremy
Pemberton.
Dyson. So Jeremy Dyson doesn't appear on
That's it.
stage, he's just the writer. But yeah.
They do Inside Number 9 now.
I think Giorgio would like that. I think you'd like League of Gentlemen.
Yeah, because what's that, late 90s?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Obviously, I know because I think Mark Gatiss, who was one of the people on it as well. He obviously wrote and co-produced Sherlock and some of the Doctor Who as well.
Of course.
So yeah,
Very clever. Yeah, no, I think you like that. When I saw the stage show at that, and it was where the series sort of ended. The stage show was the next series, and it was really well done. It was very clever. And that, like, funny enough, you talk about on stage having two floors. That's what they did on the Tubbs and Edward sketch. They had 2 floors, so it was cleverly done.
Nice.
So we briefly discussed in Sheffield, but what's the ambition with the stage show? Do you want to sort of keep going bigger audiences and do a few different scripts, or keep the same 4 episodes, or?
Well, I think obviously we got to see out this leg of the tour, which will be, about 40 shows ish, maybe 42 if we can. If the interest is there, I think we're speaking for us both. I think we're happy just to carry it on. But I mean, I don't know what the end is really. I mean, I suppose it'd be phenomenal if there was 30 years of interest in it, and we just kept touring, kept touring it. But we probably would have to change the episodes at some point. But that, we spoke at the time that gives some logistical difficulties. You'd have to have more characters, and even when you're thinking of a business mind, if you've got more people to pay, you have to put ticket prices up, and then it becomes a bit more unviable, really. But at the moment, we're happy doing what we're doing. If we've got any interest there, I think we're happy to keep going a bit longer, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, Finif, would you, because the 4 episodes you guys did, which were brilliant choice. There was obviously Menelettes, The Bird, Come Dancing, and Upstairs Downstairs. Are there any other episodes that you pick that you think could work?
Well, we'd have to have a conversation about what episodes, because we're thinking specifically for stage, what episodes have got no more than kind of one extra character in it. So that's really what we're looking at, because like I said, I think the example I gave in the one where it's his brother's funeral, we can't cast the whole family, and you can't not have the family in it. No. If we do want to, if say we did the bath or when he gets the new bed, we manage with the bird on a voiceover as the girl, but we would have to bring a girl in for the other episodes, which obviously I've got no problem bringing a girl in, but we've got our team of 3 males doing this. So it's what episodes really could we do with just the 3 people who are already in it?
Yeah.
I did think, because I said to Si before we watched the show, I thought you were going to do the bath because I thought that could probably lend itself. But obviously you'd have to be bollock naked in a steel bathtub, and then you'd have to have a quick change then to do the next one. But no, interesting episode, the bath, because if it wasn't for that episode, the reaction of the crowd, we wouldn't have had another series of Steptoe. Because I think we mentioned this before about how the bath episode was filmed just after Wilf Bramble had that scandal with the importuning, as they called it. And as that was going out, the producer said, "We'll see how the crowd react to it. If that gets a favourable reaction, we'll continue the show. If there's a big, we need this man, we can't have this man doing this and bringing the show into disrepute, blah blah blah," they'd stop the show. So I think I picked that before, didn't I? So we reviewed it and
said, you did.
Said if it wasn't for the reaction of that episode, we wouldn't have been sat here talking about it today.
It's made me watch it differently as well now, because I've always enjoyed that episode. Just some great visuals, and obviously the class.
What was the issue? Sorry.
Well, back in, I can't remember what year it was. Wilf Bramble was he was arrested for, they called it importuning, which basically now would you call it cottage inside now? I don't know what I'm asking you, mate.
Hanging around male loos for services.
Yeah.
He was coming back from a BBC party one night, walking back through London. He stopped to use the toilet, and he looked and smiled at a young man in there, and the young man was he's an undercover police officer. So they sort of grabbed him, said, "You're under arrest." Went to court the next morning, and they sort of convicted him they called it importuning. I mean, now it wouldn't stand up, wouldn't mean anything now. But yeah, we reviewed it. We had a good author on called David Clayton who wrote You Dirty Old Man, Wilfred Bramble's story.
Yeah.
And he goes into it in a lot of detail, doesn't he, Si?
Yeah. It's when this was a time when homosexuality was still illegal.
It was illegal then, yeah. So very different times.
Crazy, isn't it? Very different times. But
crazy. The reaction of that episode meant that they carried it on and did 8 series, 2 films, the tour of Australia. They're going to do another tour of Australia.
Well,
so I suppose that episode could work. But again, I think it's tough, isn't it, trying to pick the episodes? That's why hats off to you guys for picking those 4.
Yeah. You really threw me with the bird, because I was going, what is this? I know this. But the start, that's what threw me. And then, as soon as it was like, oh yeah, he's got a bird. It's birds now, is it? That was the line that went there. Like series 1, the bird. But yeah,
they're messing about with the clock.
Great choice.
A lot of people don't see the clock coming. and I don't know whether it's that they've forgotten the episode or they've never seen it. And I'm like, you need that action to wrap a whole episode up.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? What's going on?
Well, I was waiting for that because I thought I could remember. Obviously, he's put the clock forward, and then I turned around and looked at everyone because we were sat as you were looking out. We were on the right, so I was looking at everyone because I couldn't wait to see their reaction. And most of them must have forgotten, and so that reaction was organic. It was brilliant to see.
Well, one of my favourite bits in the show is literally once I've turned the clock back, and then I look at the audience and just give them that cheeky grin and go on. I love that.
You even got
Speaking of
right.
clocks,
Like,
how many cuckoo clocks did you break in Come Dancing? Obviously, overall.
Well, I bought 36.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Because see that my theory was I thought because it was the last show for a couple of weeks, I thought Georgia Proper went for it because he really smashes that clock.
The last episode, it literally fell to pieces.
It did. I thought we were going to get hit.
Well, no, because the first I feel so sorry for Talv, and I've apologized profusely, but the first show we did, I went at it and I missed it, and the hammer went through the wall. And
we
as soon as
just
that
spent
happened,
£700 building the set. 5 seconds with it, and that happened.
He's ruined it.
But the thing is, as soon as that happened, I was like, right, I've noticed I've done that, but in a split second, I've gone, right, keep composure, keep in character. The interval's happening, or the interval's not going to happen now for, what have you. Just keep going. And I walk off stage and I just go, I'm so sorry. Oh,
So,
goodness.
Shout out to Tal. Sorry, I'm not sure of his surname, but he's brilliant in it. He plays, what does he play? The Vicar.
The Vicar.
What else is he playing?
Yeah,
The
the
Vicar,
milkman.
The Milton. That's it. In Come Dancer, but yeah, he was excellent. The Vicar's voice, he got spot on. He was like, it's
Uncanny, wasn't it?
perfect.
Tal has history with Vicar characters.
Yes.
He had the Vicar in Dick Whittington as well.
All right.
Oh,
Right.
Does he appear in your adult pantos as well?
He
Has
does,
done
yeah.
that? Right. Yeah.
I've known Tal 1 year more than Giorgio. Tal managed to do 2 shows of my Snow White panto as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've known Tal for just a bit longer. But
you got plans to do more of those, Dan?
yeah. One person on this podcast have been trying to persuade me, haven't they?
Yes. Profusely. It's a case of, well, I go back to the element of obviously your email correspondence with a lot of people. People just telling you that it's brought them so much joy and so much happiness. And the fact that how organically we constantly laugh at it, even though we're 20, 30, 40 shows in, we're still in the wings laughing. It's a great sensation to have, especially when it can be perceived as a bit too much, bit tongue-in-cheek, what have you, but it is funny, and without again overinflating your already massive ego, you write it very well. You write them very well. That the jokes in there are funny, and I still to this day I think your best joke is the one in your first monologue with Dick Whittington about the ball bearings.
It's a good one that we can't really repeat.
No,
You can.
I
Go for
have
it. You
to
can.
say, go Dan, you go.
This is going to be a bit disjointed because I got to remember it.
If you don't remember it, I remember it 'cause it's brilliant.
So, my family were very, very poor when we were younger, and me and my 2 brothers, we all needed iron tablets, but of course, my mum couldn't afford the prescription. So instead of the iron tablet, she went to the hardware shop and she got some metal ball bearings, and she thought they'd do the same thing, you see, and she snuck them into our food. And later on that day, my brother said he was really in pain when he had a shit, and my other brother said it really hurt him when he had a piss. And then I came in and I was very upset, and my mother said, "Look, I know what you're going to say. It's you're passing ball bearings." I said, "Mum, it's worse than that. I was having a wank. I've shot the cat."
Oh god. I just checked on recording. Thank God I am. Yeah. Yeah, oh, you come up with that yourself.
Well, if no one's listening, I'll take the credit.
Did.
It is an old joke. It's an old joke, but it's a good one. It's a kind, and that's what the show's filled with, really, just that kind of stuff. And like Giorgio said about my overinflated ego, I don't like talking about it sometimes because I don't want to sound conceited. But we get so many emails, and even the reaction from people on the night. People are coming out literally still with tears of laughter, like they're doubled over in pain because their stomachs hurt. So they really, really have a good night, and they say that they've not laughed that much in years. And of course, the other thing we do as well, we do it with this show, as you know, we always donate to charity with every performance. And there's a lovely little story I like to tell, and this was from Aberdeen. We got an email a day after our show, and this email was from a woman, and she suffers so badly with like her anxiety, and she said that a lot of the time she can't leave the house because of it. But she saw that our show was on, and she wanted to see that so badly that it made her leave the house and come and watch it. And she said she was so glad she did because she had a cracking time. So what I would say, on a bit of a soapbox moment, to those people who try and cancel this kind of thing and put a stop to it, they don't know what damage they're doing, because they might cancel it for them, but for some people, it's a lifeline. And that's absolute truth.
Yeah, well
No,
said.
it is.
Well said.
Funny enough, when we said about Patricia Routledge earlier with keeping up, she was on like a documentary thing recently, and she was saying that she met a fan years later after Keeping Up had been released, and the fan said to her, "I was once at a really low ebb, and I was thinking of ending it all. And as I was about to do it, you came on the telly, and it was Keeping Up Appearances. And she said, I watched that episode, and I just felt better. And you pulled me out of that slump." So I think we do underestimate how much comedy does, cheer people up, just entertains.
Yeah.
It does. I mean,
Powerful.
There's always like choice as well. I mean, no one's forcing anyone to go and watch anything. I mean, I wouldn't, as an example off the top of my head, I wouldn't go and watch the ballet, but I wouldn't stop anyone else going. It's,
That's
you
right,
don't
innit?
want to watch it, just
Yeah, likes it.
scroll past.
If you don't like it, switch it off.
Yeah.
Don't go
That's
to
it, isn't it? Yeah.
Fine, you
No,
watch
no,
your
I'm glad-
comedies, I'll go watch Swan Lake again. That's absolutely fine.
No, I was going to say, funny enough, about the end of the show that you did in Sheffield. It was brilliant. I don't know if you do it every show, but you explained about the charity, about virtually all of it goes to charity, and you also give a tribute to Galton and Simpson, which is good. Like I said, I don't know if you do that every show, but I thought it was a really nice touch.
Yeah, well, we do it every show, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't be there doing it if it wasn't for those two writers and those two actors. So we do try, and we're not the originals. We're never going to be the originals. We're not trying to be the originals, but we're trying to do the best kind of portrayal to their memory that we can. But it's all down to them.
You know what? I think we've
taken up so much of your time,
and
guys.
it's been a real joy, chaps, to just chat with two
All right, anytime.
two very interesting guys, two comedy aficionados, and just
That's
Incredible actors.
Well, I mean, Dan tries his best, but
I try my best, and Giorgio's very trying.
yeah.
on that note, but no, brilliant. So just remind us of the website again, Dan, because what I'll do, I'll put that link on when we release the pod. I'll put the is it Steptoe and Son tour?
That's it. All in words. steptoeandsuntour.co.uk.
And we'll get that link out. And like I said, I'll be there again to see you in June. I think it's June in Newport.
Yeah, I think it's June. I think it's the 26th or 27th. I think might be the 27th. But obviously, we meet the audience at the end. Come and have another chat with us, and if you want, we'll set up when we've ended the tour.
Yeah.
If you want us to come back on, we'll have another catch up. We'll let you know how it goes.
Please do. That'd be
Well,
great.
definitely, yeah, we'll do. Yeah, and hopefully you'll be announcing another 12 months of Steptoe, and How are you both multi-millionaires through it?
Yeah, both those.
Finally.
Great.
Brilliant. But no, thanks, guys. You've been so generous with your time, and it's been amazing. Like you said, we really did enjoy this show. We wouldn't say it
Yeah.
otherwise.
As did my dad. You know, as I told you, my dad was there with us. He watched them go out originally in the 70s, and he was blown away. You know, so he was kind of like, you know, yeah, of that generation that you perhaps kind of trying to appeal to. Not most, but you know, you're going to get a lot of that generation watching it, and yeah, he loved it. So well done.
Brilliant. Guys,
guys.
we really appreciate your support. We like the idea of the podcast. We're glad you've put in the effort to come and see it, and we really appreciate the comments.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Brilliant. I won't get you to do the voices again. But no, thanks, guys. Well, speak to you soon.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Hi, this is Susanna Corbett. Thanks for downloading Step Pod and Son.